Hello, hello, another life. Another life. That sounds like I have more than one life. Wow, amazing. Amazing. So, let me invite TJ. Hello. Step number 1. Okay, done. Boom. Now, step number 2. Okay. And there he is. Let's see if it works now. He got kicked out. It don't want to work. Yes, I have an invitation. Okay, adding. Yes. Okay, we managed one of our real life daily problems in the pandemic, technical issues. So, okay, so nice to see finally your face.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, as a little introduction, if you guys who are watching out there see this for the first time, this is a Yogi's Life in the Pandemic, a little series I just started. Number 2 today with TJ. He is one of my favorite teachers because he introduced me to Yin Yoga, and it's a part of my heart now. And TJ lives far away, but we have this technical miracle working now. And I want to show real people's life stories from the past 12 months. And that's why I'm just chatting with some yogis and teachers I know about how was their life, what did they face. And I straight away start asking you to introduce yourself a little, just where you're from and what's your name and what is your lifestyle?
Just the small essentials.
Yes.
I'm TJ, and I'm from the US, usually somewhere along the East Coast. I'm in Connecticut right now. And my lifestyle, I try to learn and practice as much Zen and chill and meditation and Yin Yoga and Qigong as I can, but I also eat lots of ice cream and watch TV, just like a lot of other people. So I'd say my lifestyle is a mixed bag.
Cool. I have prepared some curveball questions for you.
Nice.
I just learned this word, express. But as always, if there's a question you
It's a little
Athena,
technical.
your headphones connected to my phone. Okay, so all right. Another technical, I got the message, like, okay. Anyway, if you want to skip a question, just tell me skip, and I don't take it personal, and we just talk about something else, all right?
Yeah,
so,
I don't think I have a question in my life, so send me whatever.
Okay, great. Yeah. So my first question would be, could you describe us? What would have you done the last 12 months if there would be no pandemic at all? Where have you been? What have you been done in the past year?
Like a what if there was no pandemic?
Yes.
Well, I have continued doing what I had started doing, was just traveling around the world and teaching in yoga teacher trainings. I had actually gotten into a pretty good rhythm of that, and was ready to teach all the way through. I had scheduled trainings every month for the whole year of 2020, most of them got canceled. So that pulled the rug out. But that's what I would have been doing, is just continually traveling and
yeah. So I imagine like your life changed completely. Like all your plans you had in your mind got like destroyed. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, as like in terms of plans that I had, like yeah, they were all just wiped. um, but in terms of like just the way I tend to live my life, like this approach to my job, like just traveling and teaching, is kind of at my own discretion.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel too different. It's not like I had a 9 to 5 job that I commuted to and I had to suddenly like
Okay.
scramble to figure out a new lifestyle. I just had much longer periods between teaching.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you remember the feeling you first heard like there's the big pandemic and traveling is restricted and flights got canceled? Airlines, like for the first time we ever can imagine, they just canceled flights to other countries. What did it make for you, like inside? Did you had like specific feelings or fears, or how was that?
um, it so it started. I started to hear about it like at the beginning of 2020 when I was traveling in the UK. I had I think a couple of trainings. No, I had a training in Wales, and then I went to New Zealand to teach, and then I went to Australia to teach. So each of those was a few weeks apart, and each time I went to a new place, the previous place locked down. So I was kind of just ahead. I was almost surfing the wave of COVID as it locking down countries. I was going to like New Zealand and Australia, like they didn't get any of that for a little while. So I was there when like the rest of the world was starting to shut down, and then I left there like when they were starting to shut down in Australia. So it was kind of surreal, like just seeing that happen. But the full impact of what was going on, like hadn't, like I don't think anybody had quite was able to wrap their heads around. But there wasn't like any fear of it myself. I think I was aware that I'm traveling, so I need to be a bit more careful. Like, but the full scope of it wasn't like known at the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know you as the probably the most Zen person I know. So I can hardly imagine how you really get into emotional trouble. But still, like it had a big, as we see now, it had a big impact in your life. And yeah, I almost cannot make my head around how you take it so easy. Obviously, I don't know, but so easy that you cannot succeed to make your job anymore, like what you love. And you're a person that loves what he does. Like this traveling thing, that was your thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So you must have a secret how you stay Zen. What is that?
I mean, I'm not as Zen as everyone might think. There are people and monks and practitioners who like, I mean, they're much further along than I am. But yeah, I don't know. I just I, from all the reading about Buddhism and like studying that philosophy and practicing meditation, and like I've just found that if I can't do anything about it, like it doesn't help for me to worry. So I tend to give priority to my peace of mind.
Yeah.
I'd say that's like one of the more, like if anybody wants a tip or a trick, like decide what you give priority to, because a lot of times I don't think we realize, and I a lot like didn't realize for a long time, that we don't prioritize our peace of mind. So we're not going to have that. We're going to have other things that take importance that make us scrambled. But like for me, I just focus on like, what do I need to calm down? What do I need to do to stay happy, or just at least joyful or at peace? And that's what I do on any given day, depending on how I feel.
I mean, that's like the teachings from the scriptures, but to live those teachings is another thing. And it seems like you're really trying to actually use the situation to try at least to follow those teachings, which is great. Yeah, which is fantastic.
I mean, it's easy motivation because it makes me happy. Like, it feels good. So if something feels good, it becomes easier to do. And I think sometimes people don't realize, like, just kind of starting some of this stuff will start to feel good once you realize what it's doing for you. And then it just becomes easy to continue it. Or
True,
easier.
yeah. Could you tell me some situation that brought you out of peace, that like where you, or what brings you to explode and scream, or is there anything, or is your mind mostly chilled?
I mean, as a kid and like in my 20s, like I had a lot more emotional turmoil, like and like I was, as a kid, I was a very frustrated little kid, like very angry. And then in high school and my 20s, I kind of like just experimented, like in college, like and went to like heavy metal concerts and mosh pits and like things to get a lot of energy out, like a lot of like built up angst. And so like that wasn't always like, it didn't always feel good. So as soon as I started reading about like that, like Taoism and Buddhism, like, it just kind of, I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. So I started to kind of go in a direction that I thought would make me feel different. And once I started to see the results, it became easier. But even now, like I have days where I'm like really bummed out and just like, I don't want to do anything. Like it doesn't feel like a nice day. Like, and like I still have all the emotions like all the time, like that everyone else has. I just maybe have outlets that I find are more fluid for getting that energy to go where it needs to go, or to not be bottled up. Because the energy from anger or needing to scream and stuff, like you can get that out and be done with it. Like look at animals, they do it all the time. You just like get some frustrating energy out, listen to some punk rock music and dance around, and then you're done with it. So yeah, that's kind of how I deal with any intense like feelings.
But isn't there also the risk of suppressing things if you're like, if you take some teachings of like staying peaceful too serious in a way that you just create a story in your mind and suppressing emotions and don't live it, and then at some point you get really frustrated, or other emotions or sadness or fatigue or whatever comes up. Have you experienced something of that you like overdone quietness or something to not scream, or is that not happening to you?
I think absolutely like that happens. And it's never, I've never quite felt so much like I've been bottled up. Because I tend to, like I said, even in my 20s, I didn't bottle it up. I would just go to like rock concerts and mosh, like, and then it just switched to like doing like kung fu and qigong to process physically. But yeah, I think it's easy to misunderstand. Sometimes like one misconception about meditation and a lot of these practices and Zen is people look at like Spock from Star Trek. I don't know if you remember, if you're like a geek. I'm a super sci-fi geek. And so like people look at Spock, like the pointy-eared guy from Star Trek, and they're like, oh, he has no emotions, like he just bottles it up and suppresses it. And so they think, oh, that's what like Zen monks do. And it's not. It's like when you apply these practices, like just meditation, like Zen meditation, you're not suppressing things, you're sitting with them and observing them. So it's the difference between like being frustrated by like let's say you have kids or something, like you don't lock the kids in their room to not deal with them, because it's just going to fester and get worse and they're going to destroy your house like when they get out. You ask them what's going on, why they're upset. You give them attention. And when you give emotions attention and people attention, then the issues dissipate. Like all emotions want is to be seen. All people want is to be seen. And
why is
I mean, it's so simple too, though. It's like, it's nature. And like, if people just if they just see what they're feeling and sit with it and let themselves feel it, and maybe then afterwards, like talk to someone about it if it's really disturbing you. But you've faced it, and by facing it, you've acknowledged it exists, and then you say, what do I want to do about that? Whereas the opposite being like, okay, I'm just going to pretend I'm very calm all the time and not deal with it so that I appear calm to everyone else. But inside, you're like a tornado. So yeah, processing is part of a meditation practice.
Yeah. And also you like mentioned Kung Fu or movement. And I find also that movement, and in this pandemic especially, can help to utilize your emotions to flow and to go out. So like you transform them almost into something if you move, if you like move properly. For me, this is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just energy, and like emotions are energy, thoughts are just energy, and movement is a great way to process that.
Okay, here's a question. So I tried to think of curveball questions. Tell me your most non-yogic thing you did in the past 12 months, and then tell me also your most yogic thing you did.
Oh, I mean, there's so many of both. Like, I don't know if I can pick a most, but I'll try. I mean, the most non-yogi thing I do, and this isn't the past 12 months, I do this regularly. This is how I kind of get through this pandemic of being stuck, is I watch a lot of TV. Like, I'm not like just putting on a channel, but like Netflix, I find shows that interest me. I do think that like, it's like comfort food, you know, like in a situation like this, it's really important, I think, not to judge ourselves for trying to find comfort. So I watch lots of like cat and puppy dog videos on Instagram. Like seriously, I try to make my algorithm show me more like puppy dog pictures and stuff, because it makes me laugh. Like I feel like a good vibration in my heart like when I see that stuff, rather than like trying to get my algorithm to show me all the scary stuff. Like I never click on spiders or sharks when my algorithm shows me that stuff. So like my non-yogi stuff is like, I eat a lot of ice cream, I watch a lot of movies, like, but my yogic stuff, just trying to stay in touch with like my spirit and the spirit like all around us. Like it's there, even though we're scrambling with very common day-to-day things. Like, how are we going to pay for this or that? Like, I don't have a job, I need to plan for that. Like taxes are coming, like, but like this spirit is still there, like whatever you want to categorize or think of that as, like whatever religion or tradition.
How do you actually tap into that spirit? What is your practice to connect to the spirit?
I mean, simple things like things that remind me of that part of myself. Like lighting incense has always done that for me, because I only ever do that when I want to meditate or be like at peace. Like lighting candles. I do that a lot, even when I'm watching TV. What's that?
Little rituals.
Yeah, or even just signals in your space and around you that indicate, oh yeah, my spirit, you know? Like I'll be watching a Netflix show, just binging like whatever like the new Marvel movies are or something, and I'll light a candle next to the TV just so that there's always that little reminder of something that I want to connect to. And even like you can see behind me, like I have like a little shrine I just redid the other day. Like I just spent like an hour just organizing all these little objects and stuff, like to make a little spot that is central in my space where I can always focus that energy. And I find that's the most helpful, is like making the space have reminders of the spirit, and then just practice, like any practices I can do on any given day. Meditation or qigong, trying to keep that alive and part of my daily schedule.
Okay. Yeah, let's speak about your practice a little bit later, but very soon. At the morning, when you got out of bed, what made you to step out, to come into the day? What motivates you now in this pandemic where you really cannot follow your passion of teaching yoga around the world? So what is actually driving you?
Like every day is different. I think one of the things that I like about each day is that it is different and I feel different. And there are days, I mean, just a few days ago, I didn't get out of bed. I was like, you know what? This is not a day where I feel like doing anything. Like, so I just pick up my iPad and I start scrolling, or like, I'll just take it easy and just chill out. And I follow whatever natural feeling I have, if I'm able to do that, like, on that given day. And then I try not to do that every day. I think that would kind of start to take a toll. but like once a week, just to have that day where you're just like, nope, today's not the day where I'm doing a damn thing. That's okay. That's good for us. And then on most days, I'm just excited to kind of try to I go to cafes every day. So I still have to wear a mask, and like it's still fairly limited with what we can do, but there are cafes open. So I go there and work on like trying to expand my business and basically get ready for after the pandemic. There will be an after, you know, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I want to be there, and I want to be ready to thrive in it. And so like each day I'm excited to try to figure out that puzzle and go see what do I need to work on today to like get my business ready for when it's time to really start up again into full gear. And then some days, like I just registered for a Tai Chi training online. So I've gotten really, really into embracing all of the stuff that's available online. And so that will excite me. So I try to kind of keep an eye out for new things that will get me eager to get up.
Yeah. That leads me to my next question is like, did you start something new in the pandemic, and what was it? And how was that to learn something completely new? Is it inside yoga? Is it another style, or is it outside of yoga?
It's outside yoga. I always find it funny to tell people I'm not really that into yoga, like as a tradition. I'm more into like Kung Fu and martial arts and Qigong. So yeah, I've started more new things in the last year than probably in the last 5 years, easily. Like I've really been trying to wrap my head around Qigong, which I've been studying for a while, but now that there's so much online and I have so much time, I'm just like trying to take as many different kinds of things in that field as I can to really understand the scope of it. And every time I find something new, like even if it's just YouTube videos, like some stuff I pay for and just kind of I'll deal with that credit card debt later. And then other stuff like I just do on YouTube, and even if it's not a class, I'll just be like, okay, how can I mimic what they're doing? I like the way it looks. It looks like it feels good. So I've learned so many different things during the last 12 months. It's kind of blows.
But isn't it a bit like lonely, because you just have your screen and there are no real people, there's no real interaction, it's more like self-interaction, but not with other people around. And I don't know how you live, if you live with other people or if you have a partner or whatever, but do you feel a bit lonely, or are you just very okay to be alone?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be an introvert, so I tend to be okay being alone. I love being around people, and I really miss that. But I mean, there's only so much we can do. Hence why I watch so much TV. I mean, any kind of feeling of connection you can have, even if it's just characters in a show you really like. Like, if there's a day where you're just like, oh, I feel so lonely, I want to be around people, just watch people. Like, that's also why I go to cafes, just to be around like people having conversations that I don't need to be a part of, but it's nice to be in that space with them. And then I really don't mind being on my own. Like, I go on like meditation retreats, like, and everyone's like, oh, wasn't it like really lonely and stuff? Like 30 days just on your own, like in a cabin meditating. It's like, that's why I went there, like to just like focus on what's going on inside me.
No, I can totally share that. For me also is like, because I'm also more introvert than extrovert, and doing this video series for me is like, okay. But I love those phases in life. For example, my Vipassana was one of the best experiences, where I was 10 days, nothing doing with other people, just with myself, with my body, closed eyes, no even like visual input. And it gave me so much, but I also need afterwards, like then again, a contact with people, because for me, like humans is equals social interaction is so important. Like if there's actually like, if you don't have babies cuddled in their first weeks, they die. And something like they discuss now in hospitals because of COVID is like they separate the babies because of COVID, and they say no, they die, they have to be cuddled from their mom. So some physical touch is so important. That's I see it.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's definitely a bummer because I'm a hugger. I love to hug people when I see them, and
Yeah.
like, and so I can't wait to get back to that. And it's probably a long ways off, but yeah, physical contact is so important. But I think it's important to remember too, like what that physical contact is a connection to nature and to life, like a life force of some kind. And
Yeah.
we are that. Like we are a life force. We are
Yeah.
nature, and there's nature all around us. Like, and so even just like in a way that maybe we can't understand, but subconsciously, we can connect and give ourselves that just through going for a walk in nature, or even just embracing ourselves, you know. Just
Yeah.
that's why the working with the body can be so helpful, because you're connecting to yourself and your nature, which is the same as all nature, the same as like any other people you interact with. But yeah, being around people, like, and hugging people and touching people is, yeah, it's hard to match that.
How did your practice change, or did your practice change, and how does your practice at the moment look like? Even if it's not yoga, what is your practice at the moment?
Yeah, my practice changed, and at first I wasn't okay with it. Like, so if you want to, like, some things I struggle with, I was like, I was kind of upset, like, that my meditation didn't feel the same, like, in the pandemic. And I don't know why that is, like, but I wasn't, I felt like I was just kind of spinning, and I wasn't like getting anything. It wasn't going where, which is part of a meditation practice, you know,
Yeah.
dealing with that. But I was also getting more into Qigong, and I wanted to explore the meditative qualities of it. And I found I was, by putting my energy into my regular meditation practice that I tried to do every day, I was kind of shortchanging my Qigong, like, ability to kind of learn and really immerse myself in Qigong and learn what it's really about. So I had to kind of just make peace with, like, okay, I'm not going to meditate every day, which I hadn't accepted. And like, I've meditated every day for a few years now. And so that was kind of hard to let go of. But then the Qigong, I could really put a lot more into that. And so it's kind of like finding a balance of, like, I'm not stopping something just because you don't want to do it and you want to watch Netflix, but like stopping something because there's something else that has equal importance and priority, and value. And so it changed in that way quite a bit, like trying to make my meditation practice my Qigong studies, and trying to just merge and play around with things a bit more, like trying to see how my body felt from Qigong, and can I do yin yoga before that or after that, and what does that do to how my body feels, and how does the meditation add to that or detract from it. Some days it does kind of add to those other practices, and other days it's just kind of like an additional thing on my to-do list, you know. So it's definitely changed quite a bit.
How often do you practice? Is it daily? Is it a few times a week? How often and how long?
Yeah, it's every day. I do something every day. And it depends a little on how I feel. I'm trying to, like, get I'm trying to do a bit more each day. And kind of registering for different courses helps, because they'll give you like certain durations of videos where you're learning and practicing with the teacher. But then also stuff that I know on my own and I don't need a video or a teacher for, I just want to practice that too. So I'm finding I'm getting a nice kind of accumulation of different things, which tend to take, like, at least on any given day, like 30 minutes to an hour. That might grow in this next week as I have a few courses that I'm going to study. But yeah, I try to get at least half an hour every day.
Yeah. And your yin yoga practice?
That varies. Like, I've been trying to explore how and when I need that a bit more based on how the Qigong is feeling, because that's a new practice for me, to be doing as often as I am. And the Kung Fu stuff. I was trying to learn some Kung Fu online, and that kind of was a bit more difficult. And so I was trying to figure out, like, if that more intense practice needed some more yin yoga. The yin yoga has always lately been like medicinal for me. It's like, when do I need it and what is causing me to feel like I need it, and then I do it, rather than just doing it every day, because I'm a pretty yin guy anyway, so I don't need that every day to stay balanced. I need more intense stuff.
Okay, let's change topics a little bit to the virus and the bigger picture. Do you believe in coincidence?
I'm gonna take the safe road and say yes and no. Is there a little more context for that?
Do you think the virus is happening for a reason? Do you think humanity somehow has a learning to do, or like from a higher spiritual perspective, is there something that nature is like giving us a question, or is trying to tell us something?
Oh, I mean, I think nature is always trying to do that. So it's not so much like nature was like, now's the time, humans, sink or swim. I think it's just always doing that, and we either are always responding, and it's like anything. If you respond to things a little bit at a time, taking care of it, you don't have a big issue come up. But I think maybe humanity has like not responded well over the last decades or 100 years or so, and now it's kind of like, we made a messy house and didn't clean up for a week. Now we got a whole lot of cleaning to do. So it's not so much that nature or anything else did this to us, like we did this, and now we have to dig our way out of it.
How do we do that?
I mean, I think we are like doing it, like making corrections with like politicians who aren't handling situations properly, and kind of saying like, okay, you're not going to do it. We're going to get someone else in office who can do it, and listening to guidance from people who are professionals and know what they're doing. So like in the United States, it's still an issue for people to wear masks sometimes, and it's like, why? Like, it's not that difficult. Like, it's new, it's different, maybe that's upsetting, but like, it's not a big deal to do that. And so there's lots of little things that people are starting to listen to and starting to get more accustomed to. And some of that's cultural. Like in Japan, people wear masks all the time. When I was visiting my sister there, it wasn't like anyone had to learn to wear a mask. It was like, oh, cool, I'll get out my masks that I wear every day and just wear them. Whereas in the United States, everybody now suddenly is like, ooh, what kind of mask do I want? There's lots of choices, but it took us like a year to get here. So I think we're doing what we need to do. It's just a matter of like, can we learn from this and not get into a situation like this again in the future?
Yeah. Did you go also through a personal, let's say, transformation over the last year? Like when you look back and like, okay, I thought about the whole thing like that, and now I'm thinking about it like in another way, or I had another transformation of something that changed your character or your mind or your completely understanding of something?
I know things have definitely, I've seen different shifts and changes, and it's been just kind of a continual process, which has gotten me to a point where I'm just kind of very accepting that this is how it is now. Like it doesn't feel, after a whole year of this, like I think the biggest shift for me was kind of just, it doesn't feel like we're necessarily in anything anymore. This feels like this is life. This is the world now. And so that was the biggest shift, which I guess in terms of like emotional processing is like acceptance. But along the way, there were lots of little like trying to process and navigate the uncertainty of everything and deal with that. And yeah, it definitely wasn't always easy. I got a journal at one point just because I needed some way to get out some of the confusion and emotions and processing. And I was like, I'll just write it down, and it helped tremendously. If anybody wants any suggestions on just a simple thing to try if they're struggling with any emotions during the pandemic, try journaling like each day, or just whenever you feel upset.
I knew a friend of me, she journaled every single day about 5 to 10 pages or more. And I'm a person who journaling is just not working for me so well because I can't sit down and do it. I can sit down for other things. I have discipline and other things, but journaling is really hard for me. So that doesn't work, but I heard it from so many people, and always, if I'm doing it, if I manage to do it, it works well. It's just for me personally, it's not easy.
I do it because I'm the same way. Like I don't do it every day, and I think the last time I wrote in it was a few months ago. And I treat it like medicine. Like if I am upset to a point where I don't know what else to do, good. I'm like oh, like some emotion is just, or some thought is just too much.
Yeah.
That's good motivation to make you do things you don't usually do. And that's when and it's not often. I might have 3 entries in this book. Like, and I wrote it like 6 months ago.
But I faced in the past months, I faced several times for the first time in my life that I didn't know further. I didn't know what to do. I was like, normally I have always ideas how I can manage, what I can do, but I was like speechless. I like, shit, and now? I have no idea how to deal with it. It happened to me for the first time, which also made a big learning for me. But my question is, did you also got to some points in time where you said like, shit, and now I have no clue? And how did you continue that?
Yeah, for sure. That I think was the turning point in just kind of like that acceptance. Because like I got to that, I mean, I don't know if it happened multiple times or if there was one big moment, but it just felt like I was perpetually like not sure what was going to happen. Like, do I need to get a regular job? Like where I not come back to doing this job that I love? Like, do I need to like take out some kind of loan, or like do it, like all these questions about like, how is this going to work in this new situation? Like, and it happens so frequently, like, because every day just has those questions in like a situation like this, it seems. And after a while it just became like, oh well, like fuck it, like I'm just gonna like do what I feel like doing each day, and not really worry about like whether or not it's the right choice for the future, because I don't know what the future is more than any other time in my life. So I had to at some point just kind of become okay with it, and I think that's something that I think is kind of part of life in general. So it might not be unique to the pandemic, but the pandemic might have made a lot of people have to face that in a very real way.
Can you tell me a highlight and the low light of the past year? Your personal like moment, situation, event.
I like the idea of a low light. Everybody talks about the highlights, but the low lights get no love. Highlight of the last year, oh, I don't know. I really enjoyed, I was in Japan for a while after I left Australia, because my sister and her 3 kids and husband are living there for a few years. And so I went there to visit them, and because of the lockdowns, I ended up being there for like 3 months. And I loved it so much, everything about it, like being with my nieces and nephews and playing every day, and seeing Japan for the first time. It was easily, I mean, I like to kind of make like every day is kind of its own highlight, but that was a very kind of nice moment for me. And then low light, I think low light is just like, I don't think there was any one thing that was the low light. I think it was, there's just so many things to process and figure out, and just having to do that on such an ongoing basis.
But like, if you would pick a situation, could you pick one?
I think not getting to be like with family during like different times and things that they're going through, like my grandparents, like being in their situation and not being able to see people as much at a moment in their life when that is important, and my nieces and nephews being so little, they grow so fast, and not being able to be like with them. So I think that missing, almost like this year is like a void, is a bummer, but like, I mean, yeah, that's just something that you have to face and process and find peace with. In social media, we
we can find so many different opinions and situations and news and theories, conspiracy theories, fake news, real news. We don't know. Maybe where do you find your truth and where do you get your information from?
I mean, first and foremost, like from my body, like from nature, like that. Anything that conflicts with that is like I don't need it. But then that doesn't mean like I try to be open to other perspectives and information. And this is what I teach in the trainings, because I feel like modern society needs this. Like if you can't validate through your own physical body or your own perception and senses something that someone else or some other source is telling you, then you shouldn't listen to that source. And kind of taking that into, like, because obviously if someone's giving a political story, like, how do you validate that through your body? but like trying to find multiple sources. So if I read something, I make sure I if it's something I feel like I'm going to let in, you know, like I'm going to absorb it in some way and kind of accept it as like something to base ideas on, or thoughts or opinions. I'll find other sources of it, other news organizations or other places where I can verify, like, okay, here's multiple places that are saying the same thing. Now I can let that in. If I can't find other sources, or I find conflicting sources that seem equally valid, then I just make no opinion about it. So I find nowadays with so much information, it's really important to kind of be suspicious of any information you take in, but not like outright dismiss it and not outright accept anything, just to kind of like find other ways to verify it outside of your bubble. Because like with algorithms in like social media apps, and even with our friends and family, like we can just start kind of verifying things that are not helpful without even realizing it. So trying to reach outside and get other sources.
And I feel that we are very much separated. Like it's getting stronger, that people have more strong opinions and like speaking not very nice, very kind to others because they have another opinion. How do we come back to a more unity as humanity?
I think the first step is we have to see the people that are speaking harshly, maybe sometimes to us, like as an individual. If someone speaks harshly to you, you have to see like them as a person, and you have to see like their concerns as valid. Because if we can't do that when someone is upsetting us, we're just going to do it back to them, and that will never end. Like, so I actually practice this a lot, believe it or not, on YouTube in comment sections. I watch like political videos like on news networks, and I'll comment my opinion down like in the comment section, and then people will reply to it, sometimes very aggressively. And so I practice a lot trying not to simply reply back aggressively, because there's always that impulse. Like, I mean, I meditate a lot. I still feel like, how dare you talk to me like that? Like, I'll tell you something. And so I kind of have to like take that time to really think, like, what is this person afraid of that made them say that? And like, how can I let them know that I'm not a threat to them? I'm not going to confront them.
Actually, I love what you say, because it's like a impulse control or observation. And that's, for me, that's real meditation, to read and write your comments and see what comes up and what you want to write and like put into the keyboard, and then like to first observe it, and then maybe to write something if you want, of course. But this moment of observing what comes up and another person writes to you in an aggressive way, this is meditation for me. It's like
it's great practice. It's great practice. I think too, having said that though, there are things people have to confront, and like, so I mean, I'm talking about general disagreements and people who are just scared and being aggressive. But like there's like racism and misogyny and like all kinds of things that are oppressive and hateful and violent, and those things need to be like stopped hard in their tracks. But then you have to understand the people that are perpetuating that in order to change them too.
Yeah, and you have to speak to them on their, not level, but you have to take them where they are coming from. So you cannot tell them like you have to meditate if they don't understand what meditation means. Or, you know, you have to approach people on their eye level somehow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the future positive, or will we go into a dark age?
Uh, well, I mean, the future is, I mean, everything it's been. Like I don't think anything, I don't think anything different is going to suddenly appear to us. Like we are everything that we've always been. Like, we're human beings. Like, we have a lot of tendencies and a lot of things that we do, and some of those things are very bad and maybe, well, I shouldn't say bad, but destructive and not helpful. And other things are very helpful and growth oriented.
But how are we in the evolution, like also how we act as humans? And is there a way to go towards, or is it more a constant?
I think it's something that just requires like perpetual vigilance. I don't think, and I don't know, like I can just guess and play sci-fi games in my head about it, but like we're never not going to have like things that we would describe as evil or bad tendencies. Like, they're always going to be in us. And like if we're not diligent in kind of observing ourselves and what we're doing and what we're thinking and how that's affecting things around us, we can live in a utopia in the future, fully evolved, and then just totally spiral down into like chaotic destruction because it's just part of us. Like, and I don't think any other way is going to, like, if we could imagine us as like fully evolved, like utopian, like multi-world planet traveling like species, like I think fine if we get there, great. I think, but also life has death, and we're always going to have fears, and like, so whatever we build or evolve to, it's going to have balance in it because nature has balance in it. We're never going to not be nature.
Yeah. Okay.
We went deep on that one.
We were deep. Yeah, I like it. I was in my mind, should I ask you something now about death, or should I end the call?
Yeah, you can ask whatever you want. I don't mind talking about death.
Yeah, regarding the corona pandemic, death became something we are not allowed to have anymore somehow. People are dying, and has it changed to corona that we are more sensitive to be healthy or be sick or dying? Did it change our relation to death, or has it nothing to do with it? Was my question very confused?
I mean, death is very confusing, so I don't think it's your question necessarily. I think it's our relationship to death that's confusing. And I think anybody that had to like face death during the coronavirus has just faced, I mean, all prayers and sympathy and everything to what everyone's going through. It's a lot of emotions, and I think I've known people who have died from the coronavirus or during these times, and but I don't know if it's the coronavirus and this pandemic that is like the cause. Like, death is an inevitability, and we're all going to have to face it in one way or another. And so coronavirus is just one of many things that has caused something for people who may be facing death for the first time through like someone they know, or maybe facing their own mortality through like suddenly having something that could like affect them through like this kind of global disease. But it's part of life, like facing death and figuring out what you want to make of that, like personally, spiritually. Like, everybody gets to make a choice, like, how do I want to feel about this thing that is maybe one of the only things that we know is going to happen for sure in our life.
Are you afraid of death?
I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid more of pain than death, to be honest. But so that's kind of what I grapple with. To me, death, I get to choose what I want to think it is. And to me, it's an adventure. There's an Indiana Jones movie, the second Indiana Jones movie, there's this one character that says he's dying. And he says in Indiana Jones's arms, like, Indy, the great adventure, I go first. And that always stuck with me. It's like, if death can be, because no one knows what it is, no matter what anyone says. It's just what they want to believe it is. And they may be right, they may not, in my view. So for me, I want to think of it as an adventure, because life is an adventure. And I don't know what that's going to be, but it could be very exciting, or it could just be nothingness, in which case I don't need to worry about it.
So we are looking a bit from a yogi perspective in my series here, and we are both yogis. In the traditional Indian scriptures, they speak of rebirth, of karma. Do you believe on that?
I tend to kind of take the position of like not believing or disbelieving things that I haven't experienced or seen myself. I feel this way about ghosts, about God, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen strong enough evidence one way or the other. So the same with rebirth and karma, but I like to take those, I think those views have meaning in the sense, or purpose, in the sense that every moment is a rebirth. Like every moment of our life, we can do something. We're going into a next phase in every single moment. And death is just the next moment anyway. So could that be rebirth as something else after? Maybe. But I know like I can be reborn each moment into something else. If I want to become like, I don't know, some fancy dressing like aristocrat, I could go buy a suit and start wearing that every day, or like try to get a different kind of job, or like I change our lives and be reborn at any time that we choose. And then karma is just cause and effect. Like karma is not some like retribution for something you've done. Karma is like, if you don't take care of something, it breaks down. If you don't do this, this happens. Or if you do this, this happens. It's just cause and effect. And a lot of times people point it out as like, oh, it's retribution, because a lot of people do things that bring about bad results for them. So, but you can still, like, karma is doing things that bring about good results. Not, you're just getting the result of an action. It's science. It's physics.
TJ, I think.
Was that too much? Did I go on?
No. I think I want to end this call because we touched so many things, and I need to process some stuff you touched, and they are like bits and bobs which I need to write down, and I need to reflect on. And it really nourished me to have this exchange and speak about those things, especially with you. And to end, I want to point out that I will welcome you very happily if we manage to do the retreat here, the next teacher training, because TJ is coming over in May, 14th May, and it would be nice to see you like face to face and continue this talks in on the beach or somewhere, I don't know, with a little bit more time. But thank you very much for joining and sharing so much, and also of your wisdom, of your life and the last months.
Yeah, it's not my wisdom, by the way. It's like, this is out there. It's not mine. It's not me. But thank you. I had a great time, and I'm so excited that we may actually be able to make that May meeting work and training. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing. All right, then wonderful. I wish you a fabulous day, and let's keep in touch, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Namaste. Bye-bye.
Bye.